Lucas from iExplore here. Today we're going to do some street photography in Ikebukuro on this beautiful sunny day with the Ricoh GR3X. And I want to talk about this concept in photography of saying yes to things. Okay? So let's get right into it.
iExplore.
So as we were setting up the intro, I noticed this tax-free sign back here, and I got a cool photo of a guy having a smoke there, which I'll probably show right now. But then in the meantime, this bike pulled in, and now I don't think I can really get anybody there. So we'll keep going. But I like this composition. I like the light on here. Yeah. In general, I like Ikebukuro because near the station, the street is very wide, and then when it's a sunny day, which it is, as you can tell, the sun easily comes in. So this street just becomes like totally bathed in sunlight. I'm gonna get a little quick shot over here of these people. That's nice. A little group of people, a little group of ladies here. A little overexposed maybe. Yeah, but what do I want to talk about? This idea of like saying yes in photography. So it's something that's been on my mind, or like it's just a way to convey things that I've already talked about before. Actually, maybe I'll pause here for a second. This is maybe a scene right here. I like this 31. Now let's keep going. We'll keep going because it's noisy here, and there's not really a shot there. But anyway, so over the years, you know, like when I started out, sometimes I would say like, you know, I don't know if I want to do this kind of photography, or, you know, I would kind of like limit myself. I would say, you know, oh, this is not for me, or like I don't have an interest in this. And I learned over time, like as the years passed, and I did eventually try certain things, that it is actually important to just kind of say yes to different kind of, you know, photographic opportunities, right? So over the years, even though at first I was apprehensive about it, I tried those things. And only after I tried them was I able to confidently say, yeah, actually this isn't for me. So I guess what, you know, maybe it sounds obvious to just say it now in the video, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I encourage this idea of trying a variety of things, especially when you don't know really what truly interests you or not. And there's a cool shot maybe over here. I'm gonna try something. So that's saying yes to things in like a broad sense. Oh, this is really cool. This is really cool, this reflection. In a broad sense, meaning that if you have an opportunity, say like, for me, I'm not saying that everybody has to take the same ones, but like for me, to shoot a wedding, for example, because I wanted to be a professional photographer. But I didn't really have an interest in weddings. But when an opportunity presented itself early on, and I had no real experience, I thought, yeah, let's just do that, even though I was very apprehensive. And then my apprehension proved correct, because I shot like 2 weddings, not even the whole weddings, but just like the parties of the weddings, like the receptions. And I didn't like it, and it wasn't for me. And then I never did it again. And now, if somebody ever asks me to do that, I just say no. Because now I can confidently say that I'm not interested. All right, this is a cool scene. I mean, it's a little too crowded, but I like what's happening here. I wonder if we can do it more like this. I mean, this is kind of the cliche way to do it, straight into the wall, because then you have this perfect mirror effect. But it does work in an interesting way because the wall is curved, so actually the reflection is a little bit distorted. Yeah, so this is the first thing I'm saying here about saying yes to like opportunities, as being my advice here, is, you know, it's a little bit more like general life advice, right? I mean, this could apply to anything. Like if you're an up and coming whatever, you want to say yes to different opportunities because you never know how they're going to work out, or what you're going to learn, or what avenue you're going to go down. But then I think you can expand this yes idea to almost anything, which is what I like about it. This idea of being open to things and saying yes to things, because it also applies just to photographs in the moment, like creatively say yes to things. So for example, right now, I said yes to this reflection on the wall. It probably didn't work out, I don't know. I'll look at those photos more carefully later. But you don't know that until you try it, kind of thing, right? So I think having an open mind and saying yes to the opportunities that are just around in the immediate space when you're out shooting, whatever kind of photography you're doing, I think is important. Let's try to get this guy smoking over here he's gonna move. The light by the phones is cool. Yeah, missed him. But you know what? I like this phone here. I like that the receiver's broken. And I love the reflection of the phone itself on the window over here. But yeah, like the headset is broken, and a piece of it is on the, you know, on the little bench or table in there. So you see, this is I guess another example. I mean, just being open and saying, okay, yes, I will take a photo of that. Yes, I'm fine with that. Because I don't know. I don't know what it's going to lead to. It may lead to something interesting. You know, I do have a lot of photos of phone booths, so maybe it becomes a series of phones. I don't know. This is also on like professional jobs. I try to keep the same mentality. You know, if I'm working with like a producer on something, and they have a suggestion, you know, sometimes I do say, well, maybe that's not going to work or whatever, for some technical reason. I mean, that's part of my job, is to have that, you know, have that like opinion on things, because, you know, I'm the guy operating the camera, so I know if the light's not going to work or whatever. But I try not to do that too much, and I try to just say, okay, yeah, let's try it. Let's try that. Of course, time is limited, so sometimes you can't try every single thing. But I just try to be open and say yes. When somebody suggests something, I'll say, okay, let's just try that your way, and we'll see how that works. And then sometimes that turns out great. Sometimes it doesn't. I would just say, to be fair, it's about 50-50, you know, which is why I like to have an open mind. And even honestly, if it was like 90-10, if it only worked 10% of the time that somebody, like I said, on a production suggests something and I'm kind of doubtful, but I say yes, and then 10% of the time it actually turns out great, that's still worth it, in my opinion. So you gotta say yes to things. And the analogy I like to give, by the way, to kind of sum it up, I said this to a friend once a long time ago, it's like, you can't say that your like favorite ice cream is vanilla until you've tried a lot of the other flavors, if not all of them, but a lot of them. And then you can confidently say, you know what, I do like vanilla. And I chose vanilla because I actually do like vanilla ice cream, the most basic ice cream. But I know that I like it because I've tried a lot of other flavors and I like them too. But to me, if I only had to eat one ice cream for the rest of my life, it would be vanilla. So, you know, I think that kind of, you know, helps underline what I'm saying here. You got to say yes to a lot of different things before you can kind of settle on the things that, you know, make you you or work for you. And only then can you start saying no to things. And then you're able to say, well, you know what, that's not for me, and I know that's not for me because I've tried it. So again, this refers to a more like a general, you know, professional kind of outlook on work, or even just general life advice, but even specifically for images in the moment. Like there are images that, you know, I will choose not to take or not even try to attempt because I know I've done it before and it's just not what I want. So I just skip them. But I know that because I've said yes to them in the past. Yeah, and this brings me to something that maybe deep down inside kind of feeds these thoughts. It's like the seed that was planted years ago, I think back in like, I don't know, 2010 or something, or 11. I read this article by a famous photographer whose name I will look up on my phone right now because I don't want to mess it up because he has 3 names. Arno Rafael Minkinen, that's it. So his name is Arno Rafael Minkinen. He's a Norwegian, I believe Norwegian, but could be Finnish. Sorry, I'm sorry, I just looked that up. I looked up his name, I forgot to look where he's from. But he's a Scandinavian photographer who works in the US. He does this kind of surrealist black and white photos. And he wrote this great article back in like 2006 or something that I read a little later. And it's the Helsinki bus station theory, or something along those lines. And I'm not gonna explain the whole article because you should go and read it. Maybe I'll put a link in the description, but I'll just summarize it. And basically he's like, the idea is you gotta stay on the bus. So when you get on the bus in the Helsinki bus station, all the buses kind of go together for like a few kilometers. The analogy there is that like, that means that your work is sort of similar to other people's. And I've definitely experienced this. When I started street photography or photography in general, I was shooting a lot of stuff that was like clearly inspired or even like copies of just other people's work. You know, like I went to the same places, I shot in a similar way, and I didn't find that my stuff stood out very much. And then, you know, sometimes what you end up doing is you got to go back to the original station, to the starting point, and you choose a different bus. But again, if you don't take it very far, then you're not going to really get anywhere. So this is like the first part of what I'm saying, is this is the say yes to different things part. You try a bunch of different buses. But what the article says, what the photographer said in the Helsinki bus theory article, is you got to stay on that bus till you get all the way to the end of the line, which is like when you stop working or you just die. And the point of that is, oh wait, here, there's a cool shot here. The point of that is that eventually you'll be the only one on that bus. So you end up creating stuff that, yeah, sure, it maybe comes from, you know, like a foundation of other people's work because you were inspired or whatever early on, but eventually you find kind of your own way. But to do that, you have to commit to something and just keep going, right? So if you don't commit, if you don't say yes and then commit to that for the long term, you never really kind of get anywhere. And I agree with that. And so eventually you do have to start saying no to certain things. You can't always go back and say, yes to every single thing that comes up, because it's just going to constantly, derail you from that bus. You're going to go back to the beginning and go on some other bus. So in the beginning, you try a lot of different things, but eventually you kind of have to commit. And I feel like I've done that in my photography over the last 15, 16 years. In the beginning, I tried more stuff. Now I'm still experimenting on things, and I'm still saying yes to new things, but they're more, like I know a little more what I want. It's more focused in a certain direction. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to say to you guys today. These videos, it's always like heavy with the chatting in the front, and now we're just going to explore this area and shoot, and probably underline some of these concepts just actually with in practice in the city here. But yeah, I think having an open mind and accepting different avenues and opportunities definitely has paid dividends for me, in a, I don't know how else to put it, it benefited me. Ooh, this is kind of a nice scene. Let me shoot this. I like all these, I'm gonna actually get a little lower here. I like the light, the pipe. Yeah, and so like I said, I think, all the wishy-washy stuff I mentioned is fine, that's one thing. But in practice, I think it is very useful to have a kind of this open yes to everything mentality, where sure, I may say no to certain opportunities. If someone asks me to shoot a wedding, I usually pass, although that never really happens anymore. I think I've made it clear with my portfolio. But the point is, in the moment, like right now in the city, I tend to be very open. If I see something, I shoot it. I just say yes with my camera. Yeah, I'm a little too close for the GR3X here. It's 40 millimeters a little tight, but I just loved it. That's the cold open for this video. Holy shit. Sorry, Bush. Okay, this reminds me, this is flashbacks of the slide back in the day. I don't know what the life lesson there is. The life lesson is don't walk backwards into a bush. But I do love this light here. So this is, I noticed this as soon as I fell down. It's kind of funny. I want a little more context. I'm a little too close over there. Okay. And we'll just get a nice close-up because I like the light. All right, let's keep going. I feel bad for the bush. I broke some of it, but luckily I'm fine. All right, just looking back at the light from this angle. Yeah, in general, today's been a very funny day. I say yes to things, and I guess basically what you can, another way you can summarize is just have a little bit of optimism, right? And be positive about just whatever comes, If you have an interesting opportunity, you take it. If you can, of course, eventually, like I said, you got to say no. But today's been an interesting day where staying positive has been difficult. I mean, I fell into a bush. Shooting the intro today was tricky. There was a bunch of little technical issues. We tried to buy a new filter, a big camera for this lens because we needed a variable ND filter. Actually, for a different lens. We have one for this lens, but we wanted to shoot with a different lens. We need a different size filter. And that filter was all messed up and we had to return it. So it's been like a rough day today. I think falling in the bush was like the coup de grace. So hopefully the day is uphill from here. Well, this bus driver is really cool over here. Oh, that's nice. He's kind of trapped here. Arigato. That was nice. That was cool. I don't know if I really got a great photo there, but I just like the light on the guy inside the bus. It was pretty cool. Okay, I like the little bit of light here. It's interesting. Maybe let's wait for one more person. I don't know. That guy was pretty good. Oh, there's a really cool character coming right now. I'm gonna get lower. 1,000. Okay. Yeah, that was not bad. Let's head on here. I think we should go up the stairs over there, into that area over there. Just came up here, tried it. There's not really much going on, but there's some potential over here. I like these stairs. I like these diagonal lines everywhere. That's the kind of stuff that is visually interesting to me. You know, and you never find anything new if you don't just like explore and try stuff. So this is a good example of this yes kind of idea. And I just thought, okay, I've been up there like once. Let's try it. I like how this tree looks from above, actually. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I really like this tree. I like the light on it, the textures and shapes, and the fact that it's really dark behind it. So it's almost like a studio shot of a tree. I don't know how dark the background is in reality. It looks dark out here, but maybe when I open it up the raw, it won't be so dark. I realized you can see shadows down there. So like there's my shadow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Look at that. So now, but that might be a cool scene. So let me just see how I would frame it. If somebody comes, I'm not going to wait too long, but if somebody comes, maybe a framing like this would work. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about the GR, it's like my main gripe, is that because it's just this screen, the screen's not even that bright, and there's no viewfinder compared to like my SLR or whatever, you know, mirrorless like Nikon. I can't really look at the photos very well. And like right now, I don't see almost anything on the screen. I'm kind of framing that mostly blindly, and it shows in my framing. Framing sucked. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my little tree here. This time including the reflections of the walkway, because I think that's a nice surreal like double exposure effect. And that could also be interesting if somebody comes up, if their foot is there on the floor, it will appear there and it's gonna look like they're floating above the tree, which is a cool idea. But okay, let's just slowly head down. I don't think more people are gonna come up here, unfortunately. Get one or two more of the tree. I'm obsessed with the tree a little bit. That's a good thing. Okay. Ooh, that shadow of the bike is cool though. That's a cool shot. So, okay, it's not a person, but the bike looks cool. And there is me in there. There is my shadow, I should say. And also Axel's shadow creeping in. I don't know, it's a fun little self-portrait. But yeah, I do like the bike's shadow. It's pretty cool. I don't know if that's, I don't know what use this photo is, but you see, I say yes. I just try, because, I don't know, it intrigued me. And I don't think too much about what are going to be the results or applications of the photo. It's just, it was cool to photograph it in the moment. And even if it never sees the light of day besides in this video, that's okay. I love also the reflections from this cool building onto these buildings. And then the way the sun is peeking out, kind of just barely up there. That's sort of interesting too. You know, it's a simple shot, but just great light, cool textures. It's a nice patch of light down here. Ooh, and I love, there's too much like, ooh, okay, there we go. There we go, that's pretty cool. It's a shame that like sign is there for the cafe. It's a little bit distracting, but I love the way this greenish glass, you know, filters the light. Okay. Cool, great light, but yeah, I don't know. Here we go, some people coming out. Also, my initial instinct was to stand up on this thing to get a little bit more, you know, like a angle from above on this scene, maybe better shadows. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for maybe one more person to come out or walk through. I want like a businessman, like one businessman in a suit, although this lady might work. Let's try that. Is she gonna hit the light? Please hit the light. No, she didn't hit the light. Because of course she's going in the cafe. Okay, but there's a lady coming out. Okay, let's do that. Focus. Here we go. Okay, bad luck, bad luck. People are just happen to be walking through the shade. I need someone to go that way, which seems unlikely. Let's just wait 1 sec. In the meantime, actually, I'm also going to shoot this direction. This is also pretty cool. Nice double exposure effect. Because I can see in the building and the reflection of the building behind me. Okay, let's move on. I'll give up on this, all well. Ooh, wait, there's a shot over here maybe? This is kind of neat. There's a guy somewhere off to my right, and he's being reflected inside this interesting sort of Let me see if I'm happy with that. I mean, it's not the best, but it was okay. Let's keep going, but just try one maybe a little bit closer, same idea. Ooh, this is cool as well. I do like this geometry and the lines. This is cool. Let's keep going. It was worth a try. But again, worth a try. Let's try that from a nice low angle. Not quite enough contrasting light. It's kind of messy in the background there. I do like these fluorescent lights on both sides, kind of creating this interesting tunnel effect. I'm going to back up a little bit actually. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go out there. This dog is interesting. Get him in the sun. All right, guys. Blended there. I hope you found my ramblings useful. I know I've said a lot of obvious things in the video. They weren't obvious to me when I got into photography, so now that I've come to those ideas, I hope they help you as well. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and remember always, challenge your eye. Oh, you're still here. Well, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That really helps us out, with the algorithm. But since you're here, I want to remind you guys the different ways you can support this channel. The best one being coming to Tokyo or Kyoto and taking a workshop with us, or me or one of the other guys on the team. That's a huge help. Of course, we have some other things that we offer. For example, you can purchase a map of Tokyo photo spots. Currently, there are over 500 locations on the map, useful for planning your trip in Tokyo or exploring the city. Also, I do have a book out called Tokyo Unseen, so please check that out. And I do sell prints, so if you'd like one of my photos as a print, check that out as well. But last but not least, there is Patreon. Those of you who support us on Patreon, we're extremely grateful, and anybody who's thinking about it, we'd really appreciate that. That is another way to get access to the photo spot map. All right. And last little tiny thing, there are referral links to all the gear and stuff that we use in the videos, so just clicking on those links helps us out as well. And of course, all the other things I mentioned are also linked in the description. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching to the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.